Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's 4D and Wakanda user group, 4DMethod. Today is May 24th. Sorry for the link change at the last second if you're waiting. I am getting a little bit of a reverb there, you guys at 4D. So okay, now I'm not getting it anymore. Great. So today's agenda. We're going to review a little bit about 4DMethod for those of you who are new to the group, and what's been happening with 4DMethod. We'll get 4D news from Jim Sobczak, and some Wakanda news from Ricardo Mello. We'll get the 4D iNug e-digest from E. Hammond. I'll do a quick Hey 4D, where I discuss
And it looks like Brent has lost connection. Let's see. We can jump into the 4D news while we're waiting for. Oh, here he's coming.
Wow, just full of fun. It's like a rodeo right now.
Welcome back, Brent.
Yeah,
you
thanks.
were just talking about Brent. No, you're talking about.
Yep, the agenda. Getting back to it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Google's giving me a bit of fun today. Yep, so and then we will do the special topic presentation, going mobile at the Art Institute of Chicago. Xiang Liu and myself will be doing this presentation about a project that we did together with between the museum here and 4D Professional Services. We'll have questions and answers, and then we'll talk about our next meeting on July 12th. Again, my name is Brent Raymond. For those of you who don't know me, I organize the 4DMethod user group. Our website can be found at 4dmethod.com, and you can reach us at the email 4dmethod@gmail.com. We get together every couple months to try to bring together a scattered community of developers and users of 4D and Wakanda. We stream the meetings as thrashing and sometimes unsuccessfully as we do via the YouTube Live, Google Hangouts, to allow people to participate from anywhere in the world. We record all of the meetings and presentations to be viewed again. So we're getting to have a pretty extensive library of previous meetings, of videos of them that you can go through and see previous demos. And our goal is to provide fresh new content and exposure for users and developers of 4D and Wakanda everywhere. So just a little bit of 4DMethod news. We recently put out a demo called the Simple Code Execution Dialog. Now, a lot of us have in time either written our own window where we can insert code and run it in a compiled application as a sort of an administrative feature for our products or our custom applications. Well, there's a nice new way to do this using 4D transformation tags and process 4D tags. Is actually the least possible amount of code that you could imagine. In fact, it's just wrapping the text from a text input area in one 4D tag and then running process 4D tags, and it actually runs the code. But as usual for these sort of things, be sure to understand the security implications of releasing this kind of capability to your users, and make sure that only administrators or yourselves get access to it. But check it out. It's a real short one, but it's an interesting one. And I just wanted to give a shout out to our latest contributor through Patreon at our Mitarbeiter level. Mitarbeiter being German for coworker. So congratulations to Dan Gallagher. Patreon is a great way to support the group, and there are some really fun rewards as well. Mitarbiters get an advanced copy of meeting slides for each meeting and can contribute an image from their local area to show as one of the 4DMethod site headers. So it's a real great way to take ownership over the group and show involvement. So thanks again, Dan. You are awesome, and I look forward to arbeiten with you. So if you're interested in becoming a 4DMethod Patreon, go ahead and go to the link patreon.com 4DMethod and check out all the other reward levels that are in there. So thanks again to everyone. And now over to Jim Sobczak at 4D for a bit of 4D news.
Thank you, Brent. Welcome from our 4D offices here in beautiful Silicon Valley. I'm not sure what Mitarbeiter level is, but that was very interesting, and congratulations to Dan. Dan's a great 4D developer, so I thought Mitarbeiter might have been like a craft beer or something, but it sounds great.
German for coworker.
Got it. Okay. So as always, our thanks to Brent and Ed for including us in the meeting and asking us to present. This is always a lot of fun for us. And as you can see, we've got some new equipment here in the 4D office so that we're able to transmit a little bit better than we have in the past. So let's see. The news here from San Jose is the US 4D World Tour team is back in San Jose after completing a successful 6-city tour in the US. Of course, the purpose of the World Tour is to visit with customers and we don't see very often, or we don't get to have face-to-face meetings with often. So it was a lot of fun for all of us, and we were kind of glad to be back. So the overall World Tour numbers, we had 167 attendees in the 6 cities, 103 of whom stayed for the day 2 training. So that's a full 62% of attendees stayed for the second day, which was the training taught by JPR and AD. It's much higher than we had in 2015. So the youngest attendee was 2.5 months old, a little baby. I'm sure he got a lot out of it. And the oldest was, well, you know who you are. So it was quite a diverse group. We had a big increase over 2015 numbers, like I said. We had 139 attendees in 2015, with 52 staying for day 2 training. So this event continues to grow. As Brian reminded me, it's the biggest event since the Boston Summit in 2011. So we're going to keep continuing to doing these every other year, and then the odd years we'll be doing the summit. So congratulations to the folks in Chicago, because they led the way in attendance at the World Tour, and San Jose was a close second. And one of the highlights of the Chicago show was Brent's presentation on CITI Lite. So we're very excited to see more of that today with Xiang and Brent. So I think everyone's in for a treat as far as that goes. The World Tour, of course, is not done, still ongoing. Many cities left to go in Europe and Latin America. When all is said and done, we'll have ended up visiting 38 cities globally on 5 continents. We expect to have over 1,000 attendees again this year, and we'll be training several hundred of those. So the feedback we're getting from the World Tour, at least in the US, is that there was a lot of interest in the new subscription licensing model that we announced. Of course, it's a new licensing model in conjunction with the perpetual license that we've had for several years. So a lot of people asking about that. We also announced 2 new levels of 4D partnership, and we had a lot to say about professional services. So if you're interested in any of these topics, professional services, the new partnership, or the subscription licensing model, please do not hesitate to contact your 4D sales rep. They're all geared up about information about those programs, and happy to talk to you about them. So finally, one of the things that I've been announcing just about every 4DMethod meeting is the solutions guide. So the solutions guide is where you get your information up on our website. You need to go to Partner Central if you're not already on there and update your information so that becomes available on the solutions guide. we'll be launching a new website later this year. So the solutions guide will be global, and it will be an awesome opportunity for you to both market your company and your applications, as well as 4D itself. So please do update that information as soon as possible. So that's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to Brian here, and he has a few things to say.
Sorry, I think I just grabbed the mic away from you as you're talking. We're still trying to get used to the new equipment, which is why I want to thank you for taking over some of the announcements there. I only have a couple quick things to say, which are we do have a beginners training called 4D Essentials Training class that's starting up here for July. If you know anybody that is needing to get a refresher in 4D or is starting new in your organization or anywhere else, please take a look at our website. I believe it's under support. There's a training page, and it'll link you right to where you can sign up. Emails will be going out about that soon. Also, if you have been inspired by the World Tour about the topics we talked on the free day or the training day, and there's other topics you would like to hear, please send an email to me or Jim or whoever in 4D so that we can make sure we know what topics are something that you'd like to see training on. I'd love to get some feedback on that. And finally, we did talk about the summit during the World Tour. I'm not ready to announce it on the video here for the location and the dates, but coming very soon, you will be getting that announcement. And when you do, it's going to be important to register for your rooms. It's going to be really important to get those signed up sooner than later this year. We're really excited about it, and I can't wait to share that with you. Okay, Brent?
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I'm real excited about the summit as well. It's always exciting to get around and see everybody at the cities and see what's going on and what's new, what kind of new features are being developed in 4D and coming versions. Speaking of which, the 16.1 version of 4D was released on May 3rd. Which includes, given that it's not an R release, this one R releases generally, or dot releases generally don't have new features or commands. This one has the latest bug fixes, and also the OpenSSL library was upgraded to version 1.0.2K. So check out the downloads page there for to download 16.1 and give it a try. Also in 4D news in the past few weeks, they announced that they're sharing the source code for certain internal 4D components with 4D partners. So you can get the source code for the 4D Write Pro interface, which is really nice, and even the 4D Quick Report dialog to customize that for your own application. You can tweak the 4D Pop, all of the 4D Pop libraries, such as the Constants editor, which I use pretty regularly. SVG area, 4D Progress, 4D SVG, 4D widgets, such as Date Picker, Time Picker, Search Picker. So those have all been really nice resources to have, and now we can actually see what the 4D code is that actually is involved in making them work and make it our own, and perhaps make some branches and share those with other users. So pretty cool stuff. So I'm going to pass it over to Ricardo Mello, who's the Chief Commercial Officer for Wakanda, to tell us a little bit about what's happening in the world of Wakanda.
All right, can you guys hear me well?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, 4DMethod. It's great to be back. Thank you, Jim and the group in the US. Last time I was not able to be in the 4D event, so the 4DMethod event. So let's go from about 2 months ago. So I am now in Vancouver. Now we have started Wakanda Canada as our hub for developing business for Wakanda in global wide. So I'm starting to get used to the environment, and it's a beautiful day here, sunny. It has been a wonderful experience. Related to today, I cannot be more excited to see Xiang and Brent's presentation. This is a perfect example of the new Wakanda working with 4D, which is creating a responsive mobile and web interface that is modern, is reliable, that you can get quick feedback from it and develop and make your products. So I cannot be more excited to see your presentation. So can you actually flip this slide for me? I don't know how to do that from here.
Sorry? Flip the slide?
Yeah. The slide, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I can introduce the people to what's going on. And, there we go. We released the 2.0, as you guys know. We are already in the 2.03. We had some fixes along the way. It's coming very, very quick, the release, with full of improvements and bug fixes. We are, at this point, working on some pretty exciting features in this new version. You have the node support, so now you can just run nodes straight from Wakanda. You can create a node worker and install all your packets and do some different things that you would be able to do only with Node those days. For example, if you have to connect a serial port from a machine, you can do with Node and then connect that with your Wakanda database or your 4D database in the back. So there's a lot that Node is bringing to the table. One of the features that I like the most is the JavaScript abstraction layer, which is what we call also the virtual data classes. So you're now able to pretty much hook any API that you see around Wakanda and JavaScript. I have actually an upcoming event on New York that I will be showing how we wrap the new Microsoft Cognitive Services on an API inside Wakanda. And you see like tables. It's really a neat example. I would actually, after I do this event, I will contact Brent to see if we could maybe potentially show in the 4DMethod, because I think it's going to be very interesting. We have a new connector, ODBC, that's going to help us connecting to data, proving that our concept of data is like data is coming from everywhere. So you can hook an API, many database, 4D, Wakanda, and create a data layer and a JavaScript abstraction layer for your products. So next, do we have a next?
Nope.
That was it. Yeah. So that was it for us. So we have, just to finish, we have 2 new events coming. We're going to be in New York and in Houston, speaking to Angular community. It's just to reinforce our commitment with Angular. The community doesn't stop to grow. We have lots of contacts in there and with clients. We think that's the fantastic direction for the product, and we cannot wait to see what Brent and Xiang did with this combo. So I pass back to you guys.
Okay, thanks, Ricardo. Yeah, I'll be excited to see what you're showing off in New York and Houston. There's so much new in the Wakanda 2.0, 2.0.3 right now that it can be always a bit hard to keep up with because things move so quickly in the world of web development, and it's good to see Wakanda leading the way. So thanks so much, Ricardo.
Thank you, Brent.
Yep. So next we have the 4D iNug e-Digest from Ed Hammond, where he reviews some of the recent topics that were discussed in the iNug, the 4D iNug community.
Great, thanks, Brent. It's been a very active 6 weeks on the iNug. As you all know, I read probably every message that comes through. I read the digest. I also read a lot of the forum postings. At least those are the ones that are in English. Sometimes I get them translated if they're in French and they look interesting. But with that in mind, these are two resources that you should be availing yourselves of if you're at all serious about your 4D development. There's a lot of knowledge online that if you've got a problem, somebody else has already seen it, more than likely, and there may be multiple solutions that they can offer for you. With that, we had Kirk Brooks, who had on how can I suppress the web server, creating the default index.html file. He got help from Joshua Hunter and Justin Levins, and they had suggestions including changing web set root folder and deleting the index.html after it's created, and finally using the procedural commands to start the web server, which does not create the folder and index.html file. There was a question by a different Kirk. Unfortunately, Nabble is making it a lot harder to track people by name because everything is listed as 4D Tech when you look at those links. Kirk from Rooftop 99 decided that he's got a project coming up where he's got a clean slate and wants to create a modern user experience. He got suggestions, and there were a lot of good ones from Peter Jacobson, Tim Nevels, Jeff Kane, Tom Benedict, Lo Farnan, and Mitch Schiller on using some of the features that are now available in the latest versions of 4D and how to keep their user interface fresh and modern looking. But the most interesting traffic over the last couple of weeks has been the awakening of the angry old man shaking his fist at a cloud in Australia, David Adams, who had spawned a series of questions on components. All of these links to these threads will be available on the website later today. But some of the topics were remedial questions about components and custom constant files, components, how do you reuse utility code, and virtually every heavy hitter in the 4D community had comments, suggestions, rants, feature requests, and other useful tips about components. And just a few of the topics covered in those posts are reading information from a host versus the component, namespaces in the host versus component, constants, code organization and structure, reuse of utility methods, shared versus private methods, error handling, components calling components, theory of programming languages, including features and limitations, and callbacks. And there's an absolutely marvelous synopsis of component development, management, and use by Bruno Legay. It's a must read if you touch on any component development at all. In fact, if you just want to organize your code, you have to read those links. Wayne Stewart had tips on methods, components, comments, and tool tips. Those are tips and techniques for generating tool tips, comments, and documentation. So you can use comments within your code to create self-documenting code. Quite interesting. There was a thread on objects, how to visualize and browse them in a form by Justin Levins, and some of the tips and code that was shared during the world tour was highlighted in that thread. And finally, the angry old man again had a thread on preemptive mode flaw. David Adams has further discussion on call form and call worker and the pluses and minuses, and he and JPR debate back and forth what the good and the bad are. So if you're interested in furthering your 4D skills, check out both the iNug and the 4D forums, and I think you'll find yourself greatly enriched. And that does it for me, Brent.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Yeah, and again, just to clarify, that's a lovingly said angry old man comment. You know, we all appreciate all of the dialogue that happens on the NUG, and it's an open and free discussion there where everyone can share ideas about what they're working on and the troubles that they're having, and give suggestions to other people for how to do things and how to solve their problems. So it's a real wealth of information, and thanks, Ed, for keeping a close eye on the conversations there. And also, again, Ed every meeting, Ed does update the page at 4DMethod for e-digests at 4dmethod.com, e-digests. And so that you can reference the discussions that he's talking about directly from links on our site. So thanks again, Ed. And next we have Hey 4D, where I give a quick suggestion for a potential new feature in the 4D development environment. So as most of us know anyways, doing new development, we can currently pull an array of objects from an object field in a table. And we can even grab a selection of records and fields, specific fields, if you name them or pass in a template as JSON. How about, and I've often sort of felt like this would be nice, how about the ability to pass a template of requested attributes in the same manner that you can pass it to selection of JSON for referencing certain fields? How about a template of attributes for a specific object field that you'd like to pull out of the selection? So attributes versus fields is the important thing there. And bonus points for returning it as an array of objects instead of text JSON, which we in turn would have to parse again if we're going to use it as an object array. So yeah, just a suggestion, but it would streamline a bit of coding that I find myself doing on a regular basis. So so thanks 4D. It'd be a lot cooler if you did include this feature. So moving on to oh, sorry, and how to do feature requests. Of course, there is a nice knowledge base article on not only how to submit them, but also how to vote for your favorite features at the links here. So so be sure to check out what's out there and take some control over what 4D works on next. So that's it's nice that they allow us to have some input in that regard. Okay, so coming up with our special topic, going 4D mobile at the Art Institute of Chicago. Our presenters are Xiang Liu and myself, Brent Raymond. Xiang is a technical services engineer at 4D. His contact information is there. He's been a technical support engineer at 4D since 2012. He supports 4D Mobile and Wakanda on the TAO, technical assistance on the web, and community forums like Stack Overflow. Xiang is an experienced mobile app developer. You may have even used one of his apps, at least you have if you attended one of the recent 4D summits. He developed every 4D Summit mobile app since 2012. And currently he's also working on several 4D mobile professional service projects and we're going to talk about one of the collaborations that he did today with me here at the museum. I'll hand it over to Xiang, but I just want to give a little bit of background about the project and about the museum for those of you who weren't able to perhaps see my preview at the road show that happened here in Chicago. But again, this is I work on a custom application for the Art Institute of Chicago. We have an extensive collection of highly valued artworks and numbering in the hundreds of thousands of objects, which we catalog data for in a 4D environment with a client server setup, and also we serve web services and REST endpoint for other consumers of data about our artwork collection within the institution here. May not be considered an older application in the 4D world, but it was started in 2001. So it's been around for a while. So we've had a long time to build out a framework and several different interesting abstraction layers, which makes it fun to work with. But you know, we've had a lot of success using it in the client server setup over the years. But as we all know, there's generally heavy demand for direct web access and mobile access to these same endpoints that we've made available through client interfaces. And you know, there's a lot of different ways to make this happen, but you know, more often than not, they involve syncing processes where your data is replicated in other systems, and you know, it can have a lot of technical weight to carry around, and they're not always as elegant as they could be. And so we're going to discuss what the direction that we took using 4D Mobile and Wakanda today. Let's see, some of our requirements of the project was that the application would be manageable by a small IT team, and we would be operating off of live data, as I mentioned, not syncing data around to umpteen different systems. Not only because that you know, it's people want to see up to the minute data, but also because there's, as I'll mention, a heavy focus on data security even within the different users of the application. Again, it needs to be scalable to large amounts of data, and also performant when you have a slow connection. 4D client is renowned for having a heavy network pull when it's connecting to the server, and we wanted to try and minimize that. So as we're walking around in the galleries and these older architecture of the museum and some of the storage areas where the Wi-Fi is not as strong as it might be in your average coffee shop, we wanted to make sure that it would be performant everywhere it was accessible. So long story short, reached out to 4D Professional Services after I heard about that new opportunity in the recent 4D Summit, and we got together and worked out a really wonderful web application. It all started with some of our designers here, professional designers, put together a goal of a wireframe and style for the application, and then through 4D Professional Services and the wonderful work of Xiang, he was able to come very close, almost imperceptibly close to the design that was set forward by our designers. And so we'll take a look at the actual application in a moment, but some of the results of the project is that we now have a responsive single-page web app using Angular and soon to be Angular 2, Node.js, and Wakanda. It's mobile ready for iOS, that being iPhones, and Android. It's as I mentioned, newly rethought and redesigned interface for the browser and mobile platforms. As I mentioned, it's responsive. Again, it's very efficient with data access. It makes it performant with slow connections, and like any of these projects, the style can easily be updated through CSS or through basically changes on the front end without having to affect any of the data access and the API on the back end. So that's a mouthful, but it's generated a lot of excitement here at the museum because our users now aren't locked down to their seats to actually walk around in the galleries, search for the information about the artworks, which is highly specific and protected information for some objects, and even to start handling some of the functionality that writes back to the database. We have read and write capabilities. So for instance, a curator could follow the installation of an artwork from the storage units into the galleries and make sure that the location information is updated real time, so that our auditors, who's one of their simplest and most important questions that they ask is, do you know where your sometimes multi-million-dollar artworks even are? And so this is a very simple but very important functionality, and the use of mobile devices is really facilitates that information being accurately maintained within our 4D environment. So let's see. Some may ask, and a lot of us, have over the years provided our own creative solutions to these sort of requirements, and there are a lot of different ways that you can go about it. And that's one of the great things about using 4D is you can go completely custom, put up your own REST API through a variety of different directions using web servers from your 4D server, from a 4D client, from standalone 4D applications. A lot of different ways to do it, and this is just being one of them, but it's also just obscenely easy. So why 4D mobile? It's really easy. And when things are easy in technology, that generally translates to less expensive. As we all know, these projects can blow up in time and personnel requirements, machine requirements, all kinds of ways to spend money on technology these days. And so this is it's also very quick. See, checkbox kind of click where you can get this going in literally no time at all. You avoid the trouble of writing your own custom REST API. Is that something you want to get into? Maybe you want to get really into the nitty-gritty and completely control every aspect of the API, or maybe you want to take the shortest path to market, as they say, because that's what's most important, and have less additional code to maintain than your current code base. This approach, as usual, keeps all of your business logic centralized within your 4D application. You're not putting up other servers with other code bases that have to be coordinated with your data structures and your business logic. So it's leveraging vetted code. You're not rewriting, reinventing the wheel, as they say, in order to have some really advanced functionality. And a really nice aspect of going this direction is that you can use 4D professional services to outsource your web development. Not all of us want to hire designers, web developers, front end, back end, all the people that are involved. Even if you are outsourcing it in general, the advantage of using 4D professional services is they know your 4D applications a lot of the time. In our community, the people you'll be working with, the 4D professional services, and they'll be able to troubleshoot everything that's necessary on the 4D side to get this up and going, and make sure that your solution is architected in the best possible manner moving forward to have a really great solution and quick and easy, and a reasonable at a reasonable cost in time and money. So so just a quick overview for those of us who haven't really used 4D Mobile. This is just a graph that I pulled off of the 4D website, but you can see here you've got the web clients being the mobile devices. This is also, you don't have to use it on a mobile device, so just general browser. It's not the way we went with it. We didn't have to go this way, but this is what the powers that be wanted, was that we went with a responsive website instead of a native app for iOS and Android. However, you can do that too quite easily. In fact, sometimes might seem even easier than doing what we did. So those applications or web pages connect to the Wakanda Enterprise server, which has a dedicated connection through 4D Mobile to a REST endpoint that is available from your 4D server. That's hosting the actual endpoint, the data endpoint for all of the calls that are going to be relayed through the Wakanda Enterprise server. So only all of the, as I said, the business logic, the data, and I'll show you a little bit more about that, but only that information really goes through, in this solution, through this REST connection between the 4D server and Wakanda. And generally everything that's necessary on each of these pages is already loaded and is calling through AJAX, or through the REST API, or through AJAX calls through Wakanda to get the data from 4D. So yeah, a lot of these kind of diagrams can make your head spin. So we'll just look at actually how it works live. So I'm going to do a quick demo of how to start a new solution and the steps that have to be taken to already start connecting directly to 4D through Wakanda. And the steps will be such things as enabling the 4D HTTP server, activating the 4D mobile service, checking on the 4D mobile authentication. You don't even have to do that, but for production systems, you would want to handle the authentication there for the connection between Wakanda and 4D. Making just a simple new method and setting the available through 4D mobile call method property, and then associating it to a table which is also exposed to 4D mobile, and then accessing it as a data store in Wakanda, and then you're done. I mean, that is the glory of doing it in this regard. That's literally all that needs to be done on the 4D side for to serve the data to Wakanda to already start building your web endpoint. So I'm going to kick off of the slide here and share my window. So bear with me for a moment. And now you are entering the tunnel of web browsers. I'll move that out of the way so we don't I don't make everybody sick. But so I'll just go ahead and start a new application here. It's a new database. Doesn't really matter what it's called. Anyone can't see my screen, please let me know. But I'll just go ahead and continue. So we have a new system here, a new database. I'll go ahead and look at the database settings. We're going to have the web server, in this case, run on a different port than 80, just so we know that it's not colliding with, because I'm going to run Wakanda on the same machine. Generally, you wouldn't do that, but we're going to do that. I'll activate the 4D mobile web service here. Again, just a checkbox. I will go ahead and just start the web server. And then we need to make a table. 4D mobile methods are connected to tables. So you need to just make a table. Any table will do. Make sure that expose with 4D mobile web mobile service here is clicked. And that's all you've got to do there. We'll make a project method. Any name will do. Whoops. Those are the fantastic new tabs that we have in the Mac OS version with R3, 16 R3. Pretty cool. I'm just going to throw some quick code in there, where I will return some text. Hello world. We love hello world in the programming world. Right, so we've got a method. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click available through 4D mobile, associate it with this table, and then I'm done. Okay, unless I've got the curse of the demo, I believe that I can now go here to localhost.
You need to save the method.
Yeah, it should be saved, but you know, I'll do it one more time. Thanks, Ed. Good to have somebody watching over my shoulder here. And this is how you can know that that 4D is actually serving out your connection. And of course, we get the curse of the demo.
Hey, Brent, this is Xiang here. Do you have the right port number, 81?
Yeah, let's just double check that. 81 right there. Should do.
And did you start the web server?
I'll restart the web server. Yeah, that's probably what we're seeing here. Okay. Alrighty. Oh, I see what I did. Who can spot the error? It's not Lecole. Learn to spell. Spelling is important. There we go. Sorry, everyone, but you know we're doing it live. O'Reilly fashion. So, anyways, you can see here that the table is in fact being published. So Wakanda will find this table and will aggregate it into the data store. Maybe that's not the right term, but it doesn't matter because we'll just see how it actually works one way or another here. So I'm going to just start a new solution and go ahead and create it. I'm going to leave this out just to make sure it's snappy for the demo. And I will come into the, sorry, wrong place here. I'm going to connect a new model. I can just leave the name untitled. It's going to be a 4D kind of a model, data model. Set the port, and I want to merge it with my active model. And voila, you can see the table that I made and the method that I made. Okay, that's groovy. So we're already doing this and doing it live in Wakanda here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new JavaScript file.
Can you make things slightly larger, Brent?
Maybe in here, is that large enough? Or
any sort of magnification of especially code
yeah,
would be good.
I will raise it even more because I'm like that too. I hear you. So hopefully that's a little bit better. So this is a shortcut for the data store. I can see the table that I created on the 4D side, and then the method. And I'm just going to go ahead and run that. It's going to want to start up the Wakanda server, so that'll just take a second. Bear with me, please. And it ran the method on the 4D side, and you can see the result right here. If anyone could tell me how to make that font bigger, I'd really appreciate it. But you can see that it returned hello world. So if I come back over into 4D and I get really exuberant, then it automatically updates that. Now this can now that's that's hello world, obviously not the most exciting example, but it's cool to see it all work to begin with. So instead, maybe instead of returning a text, we could do return an object. And run that. And you can see that we got back a message, an object with an attribute with that's a message of what we want the message to display. So that's nice, but we all live in kind of data intensive worlds, and so let's do a little bit more of, let's add a little bit of data to our solution here. I'll just set that to a long int so that I can be lazy. And I'm gonna just do a quick array of data. And I'm going to append these numbers. And then I'm going to do a array to selection to generate records. All right, groovy. Now we should have records. And so instead, I'm going to say all records in my table I'm going to do, say, selection to, well, in this case, I'm going to do selection to JSON. Table into, oops. And so that generates JSON, but we want to return an object. So I'm going to do JSON parse. Getting back to some of the cool things that would be available with the Hey 4D request that I had. So I'm going to request that, and it's probably prudent to do it like that. And we can still leave in the message hello. Yep. And that should work. Somebody tell me if I'm making an error. Wah, wah. Yeah. Well, anyways, what's supposed to happen there is we get some data back.
Hey, Brent, can you lose the OB set at the end of it? I think the adding the message might have override the data because you didn't actually assign it to any attribute there.
Sure. Yeah. So what we can do is make sure that it's working.
No, it's not there.
Anyways, how about like this? It's always fun to do it live. Yeah. Well, we can just forget that, and I'm obviously doing some kind of funky stuff here, and just return the JSON, which is oh, I see what's. Come on, you guys, you gotta help me here. It's I had a parentheses in the wrong place. Oh God. All right. Well, anyways, you get the point. I'm returning a selection as a JSON, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But now I'm curious. Yeah. All right, everyone meet stubborn Brent. All right. Well, that's enough of that. So, but anyways, you can see how easy it is to push back data in the form of an object or a text, or you can even put in your own parameters as objects or numbers or texts to connect back to your 4D database. Now, of course, most of us wouldn't be just starting an application from scratch. So, you know, of course, this is kind of a glorified, easy example. But what's even easier is taking your current code base and just coming in and clicking accessible through 4D mobile. And the same way that you would call it within 4D with the same parameters that you'd be passing in and returning back out through the method. That's all you have to do. That's the same way you would call it from the Wakanda side. And so, you know, when you're working on a project like this, it is generally good to create an API document with all of the relevant calls. And I will see if I can't find where I had that. There we go. And I'll just show you a quick look at what our API document looked like. Sorry, I had to restart, so some of this is I have to call it back up. But so, you know, I generated an API document just like this, so that I could work with the 4D professional services, and then you pass in, as I'll show you with some of my recommendations, all of our commands pass in an object as an input and return an object as output. Then you can have some example inputs and outputs within your API documentation to show what might happen, what might be a possible call and return that you would get from any of the calls that you open up to 4D Mobile. And let's take a quick look at the application where before I hand it over to Xiang to actually show you some of the insides of how you would do it within Wakanda. So here is the application actually running on site here. So we're able to search our collection for stuff like, say, a Surratt. We're able to we're able to see a lot of data. Let me just go back here and do like this. Say come in through a save selection of records, which is accessible also through the client interface. It's all nicely laid out. We have the location tracking capabilities here, where you can select, say, a future location. And then submit that to the server. You can see that it's been set successfully. And then in our case, we have a future location. They can set up a future location to move an object to with a click of a button. And so now this object has been theoretically moved to Gallery 101. Yeah, so this is it in action. There's a few more nice aspects to it, but what we did with the between the framework that Xiang and I set up, we have a very flexible API on the back end, which in a flexible framework on the front end to connect to that API, so that this can be built out and expanded in the future. And I'll be excited to have Xiang show off a bit of that. But just before I hand it over, some of my recommendations for setting up a project like this is try and handle everything with stateless calls, so that you're not keeping a selection on the 4D side. You're always calling over as a new query or calling up specific records. It's definitely easier to handle sessions from within the web app side. Again, pass objects in and back out as parameters, so that your API can remain as set as possible in that regard. You're not changing variable types and whatnot as you update your API. You try and set up an API documentation through Google Docs and stay as generic as possible, so that you can build it out. All of this uses the museum's virtual structure. You can see a talk that I did that on the link on the slide here. But yeah, so let's take a look at the really good stuff that Xiang will be showing us on the Wakanda side. So I'll just hand it over to you.
Thanks, Brent. Let me share my screen here.
Right.
Can you pass the presentation to me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. So hi, everyone. So I'll be taking over and showing the web part of the CE Lite application. So before I actually go into the Wakanda and showing the application, I want to reiterate a couple of points that Brent mentioned about the API. So the very first thing we did before we ever started is to define the API and define the data structure. I think that was the most important thing we've done before we start. And we have a clearly defined data structure, which is JSON-based input and output. Brent kind of showed real quick what the data looks like. So we have defined several mobile methods. So these are all 4D methods exposed to 4D mobile, and they are all written by Brent. So in the documentation, we clearly defined what the functions of these methods, what the input, output, what they do, and like the sample structure of these JSON objects and what the attributes they are. These are important is gives everyone on both backend and front end a good idea what we're looking at, because this is going to be a data-driven app. So this actually gives us a starting ground to actually design or prototyping this application without even having too much detail, without even having a real implementation. So what I mean by that is the JSON-based input and output is agnostic to changes on both sides. So once we have a defined data structure, we have defined the API. Any changes can happen on 4D, any changes can happen in Wakanda, in the web, and it will make no difference to the data exchange. And that practice leads to a good decoupling of server-side logic, business logic, and front end. So all the business logic sitting in 4D is not affected by anything coming from front end. So adding the web application to the existing CITI system brings no changes or no impacts per se to the system. And at the same time, you can actually expose any part of the application, any part of the data, and in any format freely to Wakanda. And in addition to that decoupling, meaning that we can actually swap any part of the front end or back end. Say we can say create a new mobile application with another framework, with even with another developer, as long as the developer sticks to this API, or even we can change it back into another database or to another from another service, as long as the exposed API looks just like the API documentation. So that was one of the important things we did. Moving on, because of this well-defined API and documentations, we were able to do what I call functional prototyping for this project. What I mean by functional prototyping is our team has three person worked on this. So it's a professional designer that coming from the Art Institute of Chicago that did a really fantastic wireframe. So what I have to do as a front-end developer is make the web app looks exactly like the wireframe. And then there's Brent working on the back end in 4D. So that three-person team, we were able to work in parallel. So we have well-defined wireframe, well-defined data and API. So we can work on this same time, and Brent implements the back end at the same time. I implement the front end with Angular and Wakanda, and then come up with a prototype that consumes the data, consumes the API without even having the real data. So we were able to start at the same time, and the end result coming from Wakanda is functional. The prototyping can hook up with the real data, with the methods when they are ready, when the data is ready. So that saves a lot of time, and we will be able to communicate on daily basis, on weekly basis. We can get together anytime we want and share our code, and without affecting each other's work. So I also choose Angular because of its component-based architecture. That means all the views, all the parts of the application is componentized. So on the front end, anything can be added at the future time, or anything can be taken out at any time. That gives a flexibility and scalability to the application. We can add features, remove features, or even completely revamp the application without affecting its structure. And the last thing we chose is for the because we wanted to responsive, so we chose Material CSS, and that's one of a common design followed by the Material design provided by Google. And there's this CSS framework that's well implemented, that idea has a really rich widget set. So by using these parts, so I was able to get a prototype out of just look like the final app without the real data, even before even we finish the backend. So as you've seen, always seen the app. So I want to explain a little bit more why we choose. So Brent actually explained why we use 4D Mobile, and I want to explain why we use Angular. So the reason we chose Angular is well fit in this model of data driven. So it's everything coming to Angular is a service that's providing data. Everything that generates at the end result is based off of data, and that's very well fit into Wakana's scheme that everything's data based, and it has a TypeScript support that supports a lot more features than current JavaScript, and it is scalable. I want to show you right here. It's scalable, and it supports some new features like ECMAScript 2015, which is not available in a lot of in JavaScript, but supported by modern browsers. So that's one of the main reasons we choose Angular. And finally is, as I just mentioned, has component-based views. That's easy for scalability and easy to make future changes. And the last thing is Wakana Studio has a very good integration with Angular. We, as I will show that later, we have a very we have a very good setup in the studio that scaffolds the project, the Angular project, when you, and lay the ground for you. And we have built in underneath things to compile Angular code and the TypeScript code into JavaScript for you. And we have using Node, we have live reloading in your test and development environments. All the tools are provided in the studio, so making the experience dealing with coding Angular very easy. So all you have to do is focus on coding. Okay, so moving on. So let me show something in action. So what I have done in the Wakana is just to consume the 4D API. So first thing I have to test is calling 4D methods in Angular. So here is the model in Angular. Sorry, in Wakana. So basically a list of the methods that we've seen, the documentations, authentication, detailing, get privileges, list briefcase, list views, search, and set location. All of them return a JSON object. Like for example, I've broken down the application down to several components, starting from here on the side here, as you can see. There's home, there's login, and there's a inside home, there's a popular actions record work list. All these 5 components represents a part of the view we've seen in the quick demo there. So I'm gonna go into details right now. So one of the things is this is the login component, which is a separate view from the home. And once we log in, we have a home view. That's one major component that's in parallel with login. And then we for either a search or a briefcase, we're going to go to the next component. But here within this popular actions, this is a subcomponent. Subcomponent called popular actions, which represents a view itself. So this is one's nested. And if we go to a search or do a briefcase, the home view doesn't change. Only the popular actions turns into a list of results. That's the work list. That's a work list component. And then if we go to details, again, the search and the top bar stays, and the work list view turns into record view. So that's 3 subcomponents or nested component right here. And the location changes here is a pop-up that lives inside record list and has its own views. So that's the layout of the application. The benefit of having these components is that I can, for the future, like for example, the popular action component is just a static view. It doesn't really have much functions into it. So in the future, if I decide, okay, I need to swap into another view, I need to add more functions into it, I can write anything without affecting other parts, without affecting the result, the presentation of records or work lists. And so if you look at the work list, it has way more HTML than popular application, but they were able to fit into the same view, same portion of the home screen, thanks to Angular. And so, okay, moving on. One of the key things we use in Wakanda, using Wakanda to access backend is we need to be able to access the 4D API. So Wakanda, when you create a new Angular project in Wakanda Studio, you always get a Wakanda, the service.ts. That's the Angular Wakanda connector. Everyone has access to it, and provides the catalog, which is basically the data store, the name for data store. Then you can use that to access your table and methods. Okay, so for example, and I incorporated that to the Angular services, which can be shared across the components. Everyone can a component can subscribe and consume those services. And in those services, for example, in authentication, I just for the use of it. So for the login, all I have to do is call this the catalog, the dialogues, which is the table name, and mobile authentication, which is the method name, and passing this object containing user logon and password. And so in the login component here, or as we have seen, I call this service which is subscribes to this authentication service, and call the login, and get the username and password provided by the screen right here. Click this login, as I'll show in the inspector here. It calls mobile authentications. It makes a REST request to /rest/dialogue/mobile authenticate, and the header has a username, password. The response coming back from 4D routed by Wakanda is the results given the status approved, and with the user data that contains an ID, name, logon, and email, which exactly matches the sample output defined in the API documentation. And so having that, so we were able to do do the same thing throughout the application, like search, for example. We can search anything and submit there. We call mobile search, and we pass it might be a little bit too small for some of you. So we were able to pass in the user ID table number and all the other required parameters through the virtual structure, and get the response back from 4D in real time, saying if it's approved, you get the table back, you get the number of items and current page, and then the details of the search results. So everything here, every action back to 4D is done through method. So that's what that fits our requirement. That's all live data. And in addition to that, there's obviously some local storage that's needed. For example, say we are logged in as a result. We need to manage the session. We're logged in as a Brent Raymond. We need to manage the session. What happens if I refresh the page? Am I gone? Do I have to call another method to 4D to get authenticated? As I just refreshed, you don't see mobile authentication again here. No, you don't have to. That's because that's thanks to this authentication service. We have a check credentials. Then whenever we're logged in, a user is stored in local storage, or this could be cookie, or this could be Wakanda. So they find a way to store users locally and store that ID or token, or depends what your result is. And when you refresh the page, check the user, see if it's still there. If it's there, you don't really have to authenticate that user again. So that local storage has been used across the board, not only just to store user authentication and sessions. It also used in different places, like say when we refresh, when we do a search. If the first thing we do is I set up a service that's to check if we already performed the search. So in that case, when we actually have a successful search, I don't really have to, when I refresh, I don't lose the context. When I refresh, I still keep the search result of ASD. If I have a briefcase that's open, I refresh, I don't lose any context whatsoever. And everything is stored in local storage, not having to go back to 4D to fetch it again. So that saves a lot of performance from and pressure from 4D. That's calling 4D methods and the authentication, and I just showed the search and the cache latest result, including the user informations and the search results. And some of the best practices involved in this is I want to show you power of Angular, and with the Wakanda data. It's fairly easy actually to set up to write your own Angular application. For example, here we Angular component. A component can be a full app, can be a part of the app, can be anything. An Angular app requires a HTML as a template, as SCSS, the CS basically style sheet, and just a TS. The TS is basically the controller to provide the data. As you one of the cool things in the not run component. One of the cool things in Angular HTML is I don't know if we have equivalent things in 4D. So you basically can take a let's see, a variable that's subscribed to that's provided by the controller. Say here I have a briefcases array coming back from a search that returns an array of briefcases. I was able to use ng4, that's like for loop through this briefcase array. And for each briefcase that's in the array, that generates an option in the select. So that's plain HTML with added an attribute called star ng4. And that there's only 4 lines of code, but in the real time, with the data provided by Angular, I was able to get a long list of options. So that reduces your workload a lot, as I'm not reading any code on the JavaScript side to generate the HTML. Angular is doing that for me. So that's one of the powerful things Angular can do, and many other actually front-end web frameworks can do now. You just provide a template and they will take care of the rest for you. So that's it. And the other thing is share data with the service. What I mean share data with the service is this requires a little bit understanding of Angular, but it's fairly easy to get. For example, here I set a artwork service that provides the data. One of the things it does is when a search is performed, it stores the search result to a local storage. So when I refresh or I go somewhere and come back, I won't lose it. Another thing is it actually provides set up a service that anyone across the app, any component can listen, can subscribe to the service to get, hey, artwork service and artworks, and get whatever I'm working on, whatever the result current is. So one example here is when a search is performed in this home component, a work list has to have a way to know what is happening on the outside. Like this is a parent component. How does a child know? The way to communicate between components is through the service, and the work list here as a child component has a subscription to the service, and all it has to do is just subscribe when there's something happen that search performed as like an event, or when there's something happen and there's those things I can do. Okay, I can grab the artworks that's changed and re-render my page. So by doing that, although this select is sitting on the parent component, I was able to, whenever a search happens or select happens, it tells the work list component to update yourself. So that's fairly easy. And again, you don't have to do anything. You just say, publish this service and subscribe to it, and do whatever you need to do to update the UI when you're done. And then another part is a little bit fun and it's simpler to understand is the routing. By routing, I mean, routing meaning that, as you can see here, this has URL as /home/list. If I back to home, it's just home. If I log out, it's log in. So there's a bit routing happening in the single page app that takes you to different components. So for example, I go to list and I go to detail, it takes me to record. All these names matches the match the component names we had. So the trick behind this is for the main component, login and home, I have set up a route in the application that routing between home and login that controls login and log out. And in here you can say just when you are default redirect to home, and if you are not logged in, take you to log in. And in the home, in any component you set up, you can set up its custom routing. And say for home, it has sub components. It has nothing, which shows popular action component by default. If there's list, take you to list component. If there's record, take you to record component. So by doing that, I can even actually just not clicking back, just go to list. Oh, sorry, my bad. And list and go back to the list. And because it had a cached result there, and just shows whatever the latest result is. So there's a lot of good practices in Angular, a lot of benefit you can get working in Wakanda. So I can only show this much, and Brent has already shown you how cool the demo is. So I encourage you to take a look at the Wakanda. And we just, as Ricardo mentioned earlier, we just published our 2.0, and you can feel free to download and test it out. And so for more Angular stuff, you can go to angular.io, which has a full documentation, get started. And it has an amazing tutorial. That's how I actually got my app started, following this tutorial. So at the end of it, before I hand it over to Brent to do the wrap up and the Q&A, I would like to mention that Wakanda already has a huge presence in the Angular community. In fact, we just came back from NGConf 2017. I think was April in Salt Lake City. So that was a really big event in Angular, and we found this what I presented here, the full flow. Actually is well received and is definitely the right thing we're doing, and that's popular with everybody. So I think we have some materials taken from the NGConf, and I think all the sessions, all the talks, that's free on the on ngconf.org. So if you're eager to learn Angular, even know how Angular works with Wakanda, you can feel free to check out their website. I wrote in the new Wakanda blog, I wrote a short blog summarizing what we've done for ngConf, what going forward, what Wakanda and Angular is about, what this means to us, something like that. So yeah, so feel free to check out Angular and the ngConf. I believe it will be a very helpful resources. And back to you, Brent.
Okay, thanks, Xiang. Yeah, it's really cool to see it from that perspective, and you know, I just want to reiterate how nice it was through the development process to just to be able to publish the API on my side and have so much control without having to wade into the Angular and leave that up to the pros. Again, sorry for the bug earlier. If anyone's curious about how to fix the code that I was working on in the demo, I've posted it to Reddit, and you can see what I was at least trying to do. So I'm gonna bring back the presentation over here and put it up for questions. But a couple more things that I'd like to, recommendations I'd like to shout out there is some of you might have noticed a lot of like special characters such as number signs or dollar signs or @ signs in the data in the CITI Lite application that Xiang was demoing. One of the things that we did that was pretty integral to the project, since the data is actually so private, was to set up a dummy 4D database. I call it a dummy database with all of the API calls that have identical parameters and that sort of thing, but that have data sets that get pushed back, that are randomized as you navigate through the application. So if you're concerned about developing a web solution with secure data, that's definitely a way that you could go with it, so that you wouldn't have to share that secure data or have any kind of a more advanced lawyer agreements and that sort of thing. And another thing that I think was integral to the development is logging. I, for one, log every call coming through 4D Mobile, and that way we can really solidify and keep a track record of how the API endpoints are being called, and you can go back and review and say, you know, these when you call with these parameters, it's returning this data, and track down errors that way. So if anyone has any other interest in tips and tricks or recommendations, definitely reach out to myself or Xiang, who was really great and put a lot of energy into making this a successful project for us. And thank you to Xiang and Jim and Ricardo, of course, for working with us on this as well. So if anyone has any questions, just gonna leave that there for a second and check on Reddit. If you have any questions, now would be a good time. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about our next meeting. Of course, you can always go to 4dmethod.com/schedule to see when the next meeting dates are. I'm real excited about our next couple of dates we have here. On July 12th, we have Tim Penner from 4D presenting some of the work that he's done on recent tech notes on the 4D Acme client, which is a Let's Encrypt client native 4D code, which will allow you through your 4D web server to automatically generate and regenerate certificates and that sort of thing through the open source Acme organizations. Also, very exciting, on August 23rd, we have David Adams giving us a demo of his publish subscribe component for 4D, which is really neat. It seems like that's the approach that programmers and that frameworks are taking across the board, where you publish events for an object, and then other objects on a form or other applications can subscribe to those events and react to them in a decoupled manner. Provides a really neat and flexible way to build complicated interfaces in an easy manner.
Excuse me, Brent.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed on the August 23rd, this says 6 p.m. CDT.
Thank you for mentioning that. Given that David is joining us from Australia, we had to update the time to 6 p.m. So hopefully everyone will be able to work with that time.
Okay, so then it's not UTC 5, right?
Perhaps I wrote that wrong, but it's 6 p.m. Central time.
Okay. Okay.
And which should be 4 p.m. on the West Coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. And also, we have open dates on October 4th and November 15th for other people who'd like to demo some of the stuff that they've been working on. It's a really great way to show off your work and your skills, and provide a recorded demo of the things clever things that you've been working on for the future. A little wrap up, and any other questions? As always, feedback is appreciated. Just gonna give it a moment to see if there's anything out there. And just 1 second to check the YouTube page there. Not seeing it. Okay. All right. Well, we had a double presentation today, so it went a little bit long, but thanks everyone for joining us. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to contact either Xiang or myself.
Okay. Thank you, Brent.
Okay.
From
thank you,
4D.
guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brent.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.